on the 23rd, which is a Monday, um, last mon- last Monday of the month, we have Kenny Calix. On the 24th, we have Dave Bradshaw. On the 25th, Kylie Devon. On um, October 1st, we have Mick Vinula. On the 2nd, we have Pumi. On the 8th, we have Balin Aki. On the 9th, Kai, Kuya Born. On the 15th, we have Johnny McMetal. On the 16th, we have Dylan Broda. And then on the 23rd, we have Rainy. So, yeah. Well, October, I should say, is looking to be a big month for Wrestling Lit. It is our anniversary as well. 4 years interviewing, so yeah. Alright, I think we're done putting ourselves over, no, Kaliko?
Let's get it. I mean, we're always over. You never get done.
Absolutely.
Can't stop, won't stop.
100%. Can Speaking of Can't Stop, Won't Stop, it was announced earlier this week that last 3 months of Raw on USA will only be 2 hours. Raw hasn't been 2 hours since 2013, I believe. So yeah, major developments there. What are your thoughts on Raw moving back to 2 hours for 3 months?
Less is more in this time frame, and plus, I've always said fall is like usually probably the time that they have the hardest time trying to get an audience, especially considering college football, and they just did the 12-team playoffs on Saturdays, and then Sundays is football. So I mean, ironically, you could hypothetically have footballs from Thursdays to Monday. So it's a tall task to tell somebody, hey, because at least with the other sports like football, you could gamble in it, and it kind of keeps you interested in the game. And wrestling is one of those things where it's like, okay, I'll catch it when I catch it. Unless you're just dedicated and going to the show. And even then, keeping the audience captivated while they're trying to keep the scores on their fantasy teams is a bitch. So it's smart in that regard, at least until the season's over. Because when the season's over and when it gets to the playoffs and the games are far and few between, then you can branch it out and actually, I think that's a better way to road your map, especially in the winter, doing the 3 hours, so you could get everybody kind of like in the work story-wise.
Well, obviously, from a fan perspective, it's going to be easier to digest. You know, well, technically, without commercials, an hour and a half. Let's be honest. Um,
Yeah, I mean, with the picture-in-picture, though, so it's roughly
who
about the
watches
same.
the picture-in-picture? I mean, honestly.
I do.
Well, you're a braver man than I am. Um, that being said, so like I was saying, from a fan perspective, that's easier to digest than hour and a half pro wrestling. But when the
Yep.
roster is as big as it is on Raw, because they do have a larger roster, and you're losing that extra half hour, do you think that that's going to majorly impact how they tell stories or how they're going to do the show?
Well, it depends on how they do it. It also kind of keeps them from having to expose the same people every week, so it's kind of rotating. Like one week, you could kind of just pick up a snippet of what's going on in the storyline, and it gives them room to alternate, right? Kind of like the Wyatt Six, they could pop out anywhere, and their storyline could just sprinkle through, rather than having to have a whole segment dedicated to them.
Okay, so So you don't think the storytelling will be affected that much when it
I
comes
think
to?
it'll be better because it gives it makes people have to pay attention now. Because 3 hours you could kind of skip some shit, to be quite honest.
Very true.
But 2 hours, roughly an hour and a half, you kind of have to pay attention, and it gives other stories time to breathe. So they could do, because the one thing that I noticed they do a lot of is these video packages where they're talking and doing more talking and building it up, which is something I truly thought that they were lacking. And I like those though, because it kind of gives you that wrestler's perspective of why they're doing what they're doing before they go do what they do.
Right. Um, when it was also reported that when they do indeed move to Netflix in January, it will go back to 3 hours, and there will be commercial breaks. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, obviously, yeah, we were accustomed to them already, but I feel like net commercials on Netflix that doesn't really compute too well for me.
I mean, they've been putting commercials on Netflix, so that's nothing new to me.
Isn't
Um,
when you pay for the more expensive one, you don't have to watch commercials?
I I mean, I got the one where T-Mobile pays for it, and they're still giving me commercials. So shit, I mean, it is what it is at this point.
I got you.
They're gonna get them ads. They're gonna get them ad spots in. It's just a matter of.
I kind of figured it'd be like what they do for Peacock when they're on paid preview. Like this match will be sponsored by this, and this match will be sponsored by this. Rather than here's a commercial break here and a commercial break there. But from what I'm hearing, they actually have say in when the commercial breaks are, rather than this is the time slots that you have. You know what I mean?
Backload all those commercials for the last 5 minutes.
Well, your main event is coming up, and after this commercial break, it's a half hour of commercials. There's 30 minutes
You ain't
commercial
lying.
break.
Get like a whole 15 minutes. That actually might be smart. Kind of like a New Japan intermission-esque type deal. Kind of like a halftime. Wrestling at a halftime. Who would have thought?
That would have been,
I mean, New Japan.
that would actually be pretty cool, but from their perspective, I think that would be counterproductive. But then people know this is the time we get up and we don't watch.
I know, right? I mean, but you would have to get it just depends on where they time it.
Right.
Like the first match out the break, Gunther versus. Blah, blah, blah.
Right. They also said that if they want to go over, there's no time constraints.
That's the key.
So if you start at, let's say, the main event starts 5 minutes to 11, they could go to like 11:45 if they want, because there's nothing holding them back from actually doing that. Um, I mean, it's nice to have that not have that constraint, because it does make things a little bit more unpredictable to say, okay, well, this isn't nothing's going to come of this. They only have 5 minutes. To, oh shit, what might actually play out from this? You know what I mean?
It can be a gift and a curse, because we'll be so spoiled to letting shit play out to when they do choose not to do it. Like, what the fuck? So, I can see it happening. It makes me wonder, are they going to show the dark matches on Netflix?
I don't think
The
so.
after? I'm like, fuck. That'd be cool. Like, stay tuned for the post show and the dark match.
No. I mean,
Why not?
the dark matches are fun, but
I
usually...
mean, most of them are... Oh, yes, they're fun.
Yeah.
Let me... Stop. Scratch. Some dark matches are fun, but the funnest one was Jey Uso's. Any Jey Uso dark match. He could literally be in a Jey... He'll spend 30 minutes just playing his theme song. Yeet, yeet, yeet. You know, so it's...
Yeah. On the opposite end of that spectrum, SmackDown is now on USA Network, and from what I'm hearing, rumor and innuendos, that it might be easier, or they are thinking about making SmackDown 3 hours from now on. What are your thoughts on a 3-hour SmackDown?
I think that is the appeasement of USA. Remember, I keep telling you, USA is owned by NBC, so all of this is still on NBC, and they have to play. And WWE is kind of in that line where they are serving two masters.
Dream Masters.
And
NXT is on CW.
Who owns CW? I want to say, what, CBS?
I have no idea.
I mean, that actually matters because it depends on the network. Nexstar, Paramount. So Paramount is CBS. So CBS is, so they're kind of under Paramount, which is the CBS. Time to trade. Yeah, they're serving three masters. But I think CW's, wow, wait a minute. They are owned by Paramount and Warner Brothers. Plot twist.
Did Tony Khan know about this?
The plot thickens. But anyways, but that's just to appease USA, and it's easier to just be like, okay, we're putting Raw on Netflix so we can be more edgy. To make it up, we'll give you that hour on SmackDown. And considering Roman's on SmackDown, they got the heavier stars on SmackDown.
They do. I mean, Cody.
Roman, Cody, Jay, the Bloodline, LA Knight, Logan Paul. Yeah. So it makes more sense in that regard.
I think what is WWE programming right now? It's 3, 5, 6, 7 hours of programming. So, and that's not withstanding AEW content. Is it asking a lot to add one more hour to a watch time for WWE fans?
I mean, it's the same time. It's just shifting and shit around.
Well, no. Raw would be 3 hours. SmackDown would be 3 hours. That's 6 hours a week, if not.
Oh, well, I mean, but 6 hours on Netflix. I mean, if it was 6 hours, and if it was like how they used to have, you remember it was like SmackDown on Tuesdays and Raw on Mondays. Yeah, that's a haul. But
it's spaced
Friday, yeah, it's spaced out. So it's Friday. Think of it this way. Friday, you're in and out anyway because you're kind of on the weekend tip. Monday, you're in the house anyway because Monday Night Football. So you're flip-flopping through. And then you got that space in between, 4 or 5 days in between. And considering that they're going to ramp that up in January, they're ramping that up for the casual fan because they know a lot of casuals come in Royal Rumble season.
Right.
So I mean, and not saying that they don't pay attention, but that's where they're Spike Kids rather than the fall. I always say fall of the fall. It's just the bitch.
Well, speaking of fall of the fall, AEW seemingly has renewed their contract with Warner Brothers, Warner Media, whatever you want to call them. They will be continuing staying on where they are, and if you believe rumor and innuendo, they will be having some type of content on HBO. Well, just Max now, on the Max app um, as well. Nothing has formally been announced as of now, but um, if you believe, spoiler sheets and rumors, then it's already a done deal. Is this a really big deal for AEW? I think it is, honestly.
It would be because that means HBO is going back into sports because they kind of canned their whole sports division. If I have to be honest, like inside, well, it's not inside the NFL, but their sports division, as far as and their biggest moneymaker in the sports division was boxing. So they got rid of that. That tells you everything you need to know. I maybe it's a big deal, but I mean, to be quite honest, I haven't really heard Max. Max is a thing, but it's not the thing that it used to be, if that makes sense.
How? I mean, it's one of the big three, I would say, and they do have a Hulu Disney Max bundle for like $17.
Really? Because I'm so used to the Hulu. Hey, look at us talking about channel combos. The Hulu, ESPN, and the other one. I can't think of the other one.
It's a Disney, Hulu, and ESPN.
Disney, Hulu, ESPN, and that makes sense because throw Max in there. But I mean, if that is, it's huge in the sense that they have another platform. I just have to look at how many people are actually subscribed to Max.
That is a good question.
Because the thing is like a lot of people are the streaming services that get the most subscribers are the ones with live sports. And the question is, do you think you're going to gain another 100 to 200,000 people to do some live wrestling on Max?
I would even say, live pay previews because, that can be hard to digest.
Well, even with live pay-per-views, because you got so many outlets for different sports, because you got fight and, you know what I'm saying? So it would have made more sense to be under the fight umbrella because at least there's a home there. And they would put you as one of the big dogs.
Well, no. What I kind of feel is the more, lucrative thing there is that it's the back catalog. You could know literally nothing about AEW, and it pops up. Hey, this sold from AEW from X amount of months ago. You're sampling something. You're checking something out.
Never mind.
That seems like a bigger opportunity for them to pick up more fans rather than just being on a random Wednesday night, at 8 o'clock.
I mean, yeah, but I just looked up their numbers. As of September, 95.8 million subscribers globally.
Okay. But,
that's a lot. That's a lot of fucking Jesus Christ.
Well,
Man, they done made us They done fucked us over because all of this shit used to be on one big cable, and now look at our asses. I hear piecemealing goddamn fucking cable like combos and shit.
Yeah, very true. But also keep in mind, Lucha Underground was literally as underground as it could be. It was on a channel not a lot of people got. It only became super popular when it came to Netflix, and people saw it and thought it was the absolute shit. What they didn't know was, there weren't they Lucha Underground got canceled, and there was no more of it. You know what I mean?
True. I mean, so you're thinking AEW should be on Netflix?
No. What I'm saying is, you're more when you're on an app, when you're on one of these streaming services, you get people that maybe you wouldn't pick up just watching casual TV. You see that little button, oh, AEW, what the hell is AEW? You'll sample it.
Nah, because at this point everybody knows what AEW is, and the problem was they had one of the best follow through. I keep telling people the first problem with AEW was when they tried to follow Inside the NBA. And Inside the NBA is the number one television show. And as sad, it's getting canceled. So that's a whole other thing. Or it's not getting canceled. It's that Warner Brothers dropped the ball. Funny, they signed AEW but lost their number one fucking TV show. But that's a whole other thing. But when they couldn't maintain the following from that show, that told me it was a problem. And the problem is that a lot of people that watch basketball, I would think a majority of them would watch wrestling because it's a crossover. And the people, when they did do that, they were like, "Why the hell is Chris Jericho still out there?" People were telling him to retire like 5-6 years ago. So I mean, and that's not a knock to Chris. It's just that when people see anything other than WWE that is not in that ecosystem of wrestling, everything looks like WWE light.
Right.
And that is the biggest problem because I mean I could show somebody AEW and a casual dude like Chris Jericho, is this WWE?
Yeah.
They say no, it's AEW. Like what is AEW? Now it seems like that their stuff is going to be more word of mouth than anything. And the problem with that is that their fans tend to be willfully blind.
Very true.
And that's where willfully blind and willfully naive to what's going down. So that's where the disconnect comes from.
Well, speaking of willfully blind and naive, Matt Riddle. He believes that there's a very good possibility that he will return to the WWE triumphantly. I'd like to smoke what he's smoking, honestly, because I don't see that ever happening.
I mean, it took a lot for him to get up out the paint, so I wouldn't put it past him.
Past WWE or past Riddle?
Past Riddle for trying. Now WWE taking him is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
No, I'm not that naive.
Yeah, I don't see it. If I'm being completely honest, and it's not because the pothead, gimmick, but simply because he wasn't very liked in WWE. He rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and if I feel like a lot of people celebrated when he was fired because he was somewhat of a problem child, and a lot of he says now, oh, his problems are better. But yeah, you're not employed by one of the biggest companies in the world. Of course, you're going to have more time to work on yourself. But I do see those issues and problems coming back up for him. You don't want somebody like that in your company, in my opinion.
Man, we've seen CM Punk come back. Anything is fucking possible at this point.
I mean, yes, but at least CM Punk was a draw. People actually wanted to see him. How many years did they chant CM Punk at in WWE events?
I mean, but because he's the martyr, he's basically. I mean, when he left, they made it seem like he was wrestling Kurt Cobain. Riddle. Don't get me wrong, that dude sold shit, scooters and flip flops and shit. So he had a merch drive. He had was his following CM Punk? No, nobody's following CM Punk. But it wasn't like he was the bottom of the total. It ain't like he's the OC.
Yeah, but I don't see his fan base saying, "Oh, we need Matt Riddle back in WWE." All around, I think stay on the indies, make your money, feed your family, good to go. Right.
We'll see.
Yep.
We will see.
Our next bit of news. Speaking of CM Punk, they did actually, we've been talking about these bracelets, CM Punk bracelets. They actually started selling them on WWE Shop.com, which actually prompted the originator, the creator of this bracelet to speak out and say, some type of heads up would have been nice. As she was actually very graceful. Her name's Victoria, for anybody that didn't know. She wasn't necessarily expecting any, financial compensation, rather than just some type of acknowledgement that, she was the one that originally created it. WWE has since apologized. CM Punk gave her a shout out, and they took those bracelets off WWEshop.com. Is this a real misstep for WWE? Under the Triple H?
No, because that's the same thing as like, you know what that sounds like? You remember when WWE 2K, was it a couple years? Oh, I think it was this year or last year when WWE 2K came out and they had the tattoos, and the tattoo artist tried to sue the WWE because they used the tattoos that he put on the wrestler, even though the wrestler is signed to the company. Do you see how ass backwards this sounds?
Yeah, you're speaking about Randy Orton's tattoos.
I see this in the same light because they did something to where they just took it and made it a storyline. The fact that it's a storyline gets you the exposure that you were looking for. The company, it's not like she's now if she's a small business owner and she copyrighted it and all that but jazz, I could get your point. But my son makes those things in third grade, for crying out loud. It's not like it's something unique or original under the sun. And putting it in music terms, it's like someone trying to sue someone because they use the C chord. Who owns the C chord? Nobody owns the C chord. You see what I'm saying? It's
I get
like,
what you mean, but obviously, the rivalry between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre was one of the biggest this year, and it revolved around that bracelet.
no, it didn't. The bracelet was just the bracelet was just
a plot device.
yeah, it was just something to thicken the plot because this shit is just them talking shit was like Hatfield and McCoy's.
Well, again, she wasn't necessarily looking for compensation financially. She just wanted it to be known, like in the description, that she was the person, original design by Victoria. That's all she kind of wanted.
Oh God, why is everybody like? It doesn't, and the bracelet just says CM Punk. It doesn't even say AJ or Larry. Man, if you don't get the hell out of my face, get the hell out of my face with that shit. It's not even the same bracelet. Now, if it was the same bracelet, I could see your point.
If that is true, then you are correct.
The bracelet, the friendship bracelet, I'm looking at it on the shop because it's still there.
Oh, really?
It just says CM Punk.
I think that they
It doesn't.
I think they took off the one that said AJ and Larry because originally there was one that had AJ and Larry on it.
Let me find it. See, now you got me. Now we going down the rabbit hole over something that is like, you know,
Yeah. This is what
I.
this is where Scooter was the best. He already had those tabs
He
open.
already had it on fleek, and that's.
He had it
Oh man,
bookmarked. It was in the next tab. He
he had it
analyzed it.
bookmarked and shit. Man, this shit is on Etsy. Can you stop? Stop. Stop. Go find the motherfucker on Etsy doing it. If it ain't her, then I don't want to hear it.
I mean, these were like 5-cent bracelets. I could probably make that for. I could. I have a. What's the name of the craft stores? Fucking
Michaels?
Michaels. Yes.
Yes, you could go to Michaels and make it.
I have
Yes.
a Michaels
Yes.
in
This
the
is
corner
what.
for me. I could literally go to Michaels and make that shit in the next 10 minutes if I wanted to.
Dude, I had a school make me one that said Wu Tang is for the kids. Stop. Stop. This is what I'm talking about. She doesn't. I get that here's where I will empathize with her. It is something that she put in her heart and soul into it and gave it to a person as a token of appreciation for in their lives. I totally get that. That part I can totally see 100%. And I can say she does not own friendship bracelets at the same time. I can hold those two thoughts. Like, just saying.
Well, they're not looking to own it, but they are looking to bring it to their state, and that is Milwaukee. They're looking to bring the Money in the Bank pay preview to Milwaukee in their baseball arena, I believe.
Huh?
Yeah, they put a bid in for Money in the Bank.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yes.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, home of the
Boy,
Cheeseheads.
hey, you know what? They might fuck around and get it. Because, I mean, I personally think this is like the Midwest like screaming, don't leave us out of these pay-per-views. Because they can't fuck with like a New Orleans or a Miami or a New York or
Right.
Jersey or LA or San Fran or Vegas.
We've talked a lot about WWE going to these other countries. It's an easy payday. These places haven't seen these people in this environment before. You're going to get a loud crowd for a house show type scenario. Um, and like I believe we talked about this. United States isn't getting those paid previews anymore. They did take them for granted. So they're looking at those paid previews, those PLEs, I should say. They're seeing that they're selling out. They're breaking records, and America's like, what about us? So as great as the international PLEs are, was this maybe kind of a ploy to get America interested in bidding for these minor PLEs for the long run?
Nah, Money in the Bank's not a minor PLE anymore.
It's one of the major ones, I would say.
It's WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Now, Survivor Series is in Toronto, so or is it Vancouver?
It's Vancouver, I believe.
Yeah, Vancouver. But I mean, I already told you what the formula I think is going to be. They're going to do all the things international, a couple of the big four in the major cities, and then a couple of the big four in those Midwestern cities that wouldn't get it otherwise, to kind of spread it out. And so far, that's the thing. And the thing that's hurting Milwaukee is the fact that Indy just got one.
And it's Milwaukee.
But in Indy has the football stadium. Milwaukee. Now, Lambeau Field, different story. But who the fuck is trying to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin, other than the Packer fans?
And Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson. So that's the killer. It's destination. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that SummerSlam was in Cleveland, I would have no business in Cleveland.
I don't think anybody would have a business in Cleveland.
No disrespect to Bone Thugs and Harmony. Bad disrespect to Bow Wow. But
Is that because he just can't Jade Cargill?
nah, because Bone Thugs and Harmony are from the gangster side of Cleveland, and Bow Wow is not really the.
To each their own, I would say. But the one thing is, if they were to get Money in the Bank, the baseball arena is a much bigger arena than a normal arena. It's more on the stadium lines. Do you see them being able to fill a stadium for Money in the Bank? Because a couple years ago, they tried to get Money in the Bank in Allegiant, and they could not fill that place up for Money in the Bank.
That's the tough part. It depends on the where.
Well,
and it depends on if it's a baseball stadium. I would say Dodger Stadium could probably get it.
No, well, I mean the Milwaukee baseball stadium. I mean.
Oh, they're not filled. No, because no one's going to the Milwaukee Stadium unless you're like a Milwaukee Brewers fan or you're trying to kick that bucket list of going to all the baseball stadiums.
I get that.
So if they did it at Yankee Stadium, I could see it because it's historic. Fenway, I could see it. Wrigley, I can see it.
I think
Dodger Stadium, I can see it. San Fran, the Giants Stadium, San Fran, Petco Park.
But do you think that they could fill up an actual stadium rather than an arena for you know, it is one of the bigger PLEs, but it isn't the biggest PLE. And the last time they tried to fill up a stadium for Monday
Yeah, they
Night
moved
Football,
it, so that's why I don't see it doing it. They would probably have it at the where the Bucks play. I think it's Energy Arena. I can't think of it. The arena that they have.
Okay.
But I don't see Money in the Bank is not until Milwaukee might be starting that trend, and it could be like a weekend thing. But until that happens, I don't see it being like that, because even with the Big Four, it's more of a weekend long celebration.
Right.
And Money in the Bank is not quite that yet.
Yeah. We're getting there, but it's not quite that yet.
Yep. Because what was Money in the Bank this year was in Toronto.
Yeah, Canada.
Yeah, it was in Toronto. So, that was pretty filled up. But it was a regular stadium, not like a...
Yeah. And it was in Canada. They don't have a lot to do in Canada but go to see...
Canada took a lot of L's with Drake. They needed that.
Apparently,
they needed
that. To begin with, if you hear what, the diss track.
Crody? Anyway.
Yeah, we're getting off topic now. Talking about a diss track, Kiana James, she got drafted to Raw earlier this year.
Kiana James. Kiana James.
It doesn't matter now. She's on the alumni page of WWE.
Damn.
As of right now, it doesn't seem like she's fired. Maybe she got injured? Question mark. But nothing has really been said one way or the other.
Man.
I can make the argument it wasn't necessarily... She wasn't necessarily setting the world on fire with what she was doing in WWE. So, this might actually be a blessing in disguise to kind of repackage her, see something that might actually work for her, and bring her back.
They better, because she one badass. So, yeah, she better. They better find something. They gotta find something.
She was okay.
What?
Yeah, let's be honest.
Okay. Okay, sir. I don't even want to go there. That's.
Zero title wins in NXT. Like, why? Who did she wrestle in NXT? Name me one good Kiana James promo.
I see one good Kiana James ass. How about that? I see two butt cheeks that are just good, and their name is Kiana and James. How about that? There we go.
Good point. You win this argument.
God damn it.
That will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.